All right. Glad to know that you are joining us, Mohammad Babandede. Glad to have you join us.
Good afternoon.
Good, fantastic. Listening to our correspondent there, he said the border is neither here nor there. Cars are not yet being allowed to pass. Can you corroborate that for us?
What do you know very well, you know my name, you said I'm Controller General of Nigerian Immigration Service. My duty is control of entry and exit of persons. I'm glad to state we issued a press release that SEME and 3 other borders were open and remain open. So I don't know about movement of the cars. You may ask Custom to explain more. But for the avoidance of doubt, these borders are open, and it will take time. There were a lot of challenges. Remember, they were locked for a very long time. And the idea is to make sure things are done properly. We said, even at the beginning of the closure, until the coming of the pandemic, we allowed windows for persons to enter from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Until later, it was closed because of the COVID-19 crisis. So now the borders are open 24/7. Provided a person passes through with a travel document and through recognized port of entry. That's SEME. You are talking of SEME in particular. So please, as far as I'm concerned, the land borders are open, the ports are open, and they are supposed to be a source of entry and exit for all persons. But they must travel with a travel document, acceptable. If you are an ECOWAS citizen, you will come with a travel document without a visa. If you are a citizen of other country, you need to enter with a visa. That is the procedure. So as far as I'm concerned, there is no crisis. I would like not to comment about vehicles crossing or not crossing.
Okay, we appreciate that. So could we talk about human trafficking then? Maybe you could tell us what the situation was before the borders were closed, and if you're optimistic that that situation has been brought under control now.
We cannot eliminate a crime, but I'm aware that when the borders are closed, human beings, once there's restriction, people always look for another opportunity. It's common globally. When you tell human beings, don't do something, they will look for opportunity to do it the other way. We're not only talking about human trafficking, but also we are talking about human smuggling. When the borders were entirely closed, opportunities were open for human traffickers and human smugglers. Human traffickers are people who take people across the borders for exploitative purpose. But those who smuggle persons are trying to move people across the borders to make sure they are not detected or refuse to enter. Benin became a very important source for us. When our borders were closed, Benin had opened a lot of opportunity for airlines, international airlines, to land in Benin Republic. We, as immigration, we cannot refuse our citizens from entering Nigeria. This is obvious. So even when the borders were closed, we had not given opportunity to restrict Nigeria, because nobody can stop a Nigerian at the border to enter, but we can stop from departing because the borders are closed. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a great opportunity to reduce trafficking and exploitation of people, because there is now a corridor to pass. If you look at the north, southwest, the opportunity is there, is SEME. We have opened in Elela, Megatari, so the opportunities are there for people to move freely in a free opportunity. But exploiters will never use it. Travel document is a big issue in Africa. Nigeria is sometimes much easier, even though we receive a lot of criticism about how can we give travel document. Our neighbors find it difficult to give travel document to their citizens. So they may not be able to present it in front of immigration officers. So exploitation becomes an opportunity. I have no travel document. The best way is for me to pay bribe and pass through the other opportunities. But we will continue to do our best to make sure people are not exploited. I have given warning to our officers. I have issued several press releases as a service that there is no money to be paid to cross our borders. The entry and exit is free. No charges are to be made. And any officer who is caught will be dealt, and we have been dealing with people. So I think we should not give opportunity to people who want to exploit our citizens. When I say our citizens, I'm not talking only Nigerian citizens. We are citizens of ECOWAS. Benin is a country of ECOWAS region, so they are citizens of ECOWAS.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to ask you. How you're trying to get around these challenges that you have pointed out about people not getting the correct documents, and then people encouraging bribery. You know, what are the, has there been precedents? Have people been punished? And then you introduced e-passports. Tell us about it.
No, you see, our forefathers who see us as the same people. To be honest with you, the difference between Benin and Nigeria, between Niger and Nigeria, is just a colonial situation. And their boundaries, they were the same, we're the same people, the same culture. That's why our forefathers sat down and created ECOWAS. They said we can move freely and enter each other person's country, stay for a period not exceeding 90 days and without a visa. But the rule has been very clear. You will enter with only a travel document, and then you can only enter through recognized port of entry. The truth of the matter is that the community is so contiguous. Sometimes you find a village cutting across country. So these people, they may not even appreciate. When we are in Abuja or in Lome talking about different countries, these people don't see it differently. But I think with the closure of the border, all the citizens begin to feel that, look, we are two different countries. We are not saying we are not the same community, but we are two different countries. We can enter each other countries through the border. That's why we introduced the ECOWAS travel certificate. It's different from passport. Simple travel document, which is not like the e-passport. I'm glad all the member states said, no, due to security challenges, this document, which is not biometric, which is handwritten, is not acceptable. So Nigeria is going to launch its new travel card, e-card, in addition to e-passport, because it's expensive. If you want to buy passport in Nigeria, for you to be crossing each day to go to Benin, the pages will be full, to be honest, and it's expensive for a villager. The alternative is to have a card, biometric card, which will not require stamp, but which will be scanned across the borders. This is what we are pursuing in 2021, to make sure all member citizens of our country who are living along the borders have this card, so that they can only scan, they don't need to stamp, and it is affordable to them and for a longer period. I think that's the best way to tackle it. The reality is that it is very expensive for them to have a passport.
What are we looking at? What are we looking at? A time interval before you start bringing out this card. What are we looking at?
The agreement has been signed between Ministry of Interior and the responsible agency to produce this card. And I hope the first quarter of 2021 will be able to launch this card. It's very, very important for us, because that is the only way you can be more realistic by saying, look, you can cross the border anytime you want, but we don't need to stamp your passport. If you stamp passport of a person living in the same SEME and Krake, how many times will you stamp the passport? It is just not realistic. So we'll issue this card as a reality, so that people will be able to use it first quarter of next year. But at the same time, we are not the only people crossing the borders. We have a lot of people coming from different parts of the region. SEME is an international corridor. SEME does not cover only people within the sub-region. So we have insisted that those who are crossing SEME, we are just installing MIDAS, raising the standard of SEME, and these three positions that are open to that of airport. It will be the standard of international airport, so that we capture your picture, we capture your biometrics, and it's connected with the migration information data analysis system. I think this will ensure security in the sub-region, not only for us. We will also deploy Interpol system in the airport, like the way we have introduced in the airport in SEME. So this is achievable, and the issue also, officers should not use the opportunity. I'm aware in some borders where some officers are not even happy you come with a travel document, and we have warned them. Say, oh, this man has a travel document, so he wants to be straightforward. So we have warned officers. And anybody who has complained will listen to that complaint. We must not exploit the ordinary person along the border. We must help them to live in harmony with one another. But we need to know who they are by properly documenting. And I hope this will be achievable first quarter of this coming year.
Sir, we're much encouraged by the efforts you're making to safeguard the benefits of those who are crossing the border. I wonder if you have maybe a line that people can report any incidents of exploitation to. That's by the way. And then I hope I'm not pushing beyond your portfolio, but will this e-passport go towards stemming issues of insurgency? Because people are worried sometimes that people who are effecting some of these crimes, insecurity in the north, have crossed these borders. And we heard recently the president said only God can man our borders. Will this e-passport go towards stemming insecurity in the north?
It's not only e-passport. We have to do multi-sectoral approach to solve the problem of borders. I always believe a safe border is a safe nation. We have developed many strategies, and it's in a book form. We have the Border Management Strategy 2019 to 2023. It's a document developed as a strategy, and we develop it together with other law enforcement agencies working at the land, sea, and air borders. Where this document, if I can be able to show you the document, the Border Management Strategy 2019-2023, it's a document that looks at the border not only as a security issue. Many people, when they see border, they say, oh, security issue. No. Border, yes, is a security issue. It's a trade route. It's a cultural route. It's a human rights issue. These are all comprised in a one book called Border Management Strategy. So we should not look at it only in the security angle. What are we doing in the other angle? For example, we have been able to establish forward operational bases. In addition to the land borders, like in Ogun, if you move north, upward from the SEME, we have established a forward operational base. Forward operational basis is a base where our law enforcement, they are only 30 in number. They will have patrol vehicle, communication equipment, radio establishment, and they can be able to patrol throughout the area and apprehend problems as possible as they can, which means that we are not only looking at it by staying in one place. If you stay at Seme border, or you stay at Megatari, or you stay at Ilela waiting for people to come to you, the criminals will not come to you. After all, West Africa has not invested. Africans in West Africa have not invested in infrastructure. It is sad that there are no big road networks. There are no railway connections. If you go to Europe, where we copied the Schengen type of system which we are running, you will see a highway connecting all the countries together. That is the attraction for people to follow a clear road. So we have established forward operational bases. We are establishing community border patrol relationships where we make sure all those officers working on the border, at least the public relations officer, can speak French, can speak the local language in the community. We are also, together with our colleagues, especially our technical partners, we're putting these machines in land borders. We have introduced 14 land borders with MIDAS, Migration Information Analysis System, which only SEME doesn't have now, but we have it in Idioroko, we have it in Ilela, we have it in Umpum, we have it in many locations where we can capture your biometrics. Even if you come without travel document, we take your biometrics, we know you are the same person. So I would like you to believe that this is a document I would like to show you. It's called Border Management Strategy 2019-2023. This is a strategy which has been able to be developed together with the support of the European Union and guided by the International Organization for Migration, so that this document will be able to assist not only immigration but other law enforcement to work with us and see border as a security source, as a trade area, as a human rights issue, as also a cultural issue. And I hope this will be able to solve the much challenges we face in terms of security and trade in our country.
All right, we hope so too. And still talking on security, are there any plans by you and your management to introduce drones at borders to help in securing the borders or general security in total?
There are many other strategies in place. For example, the e-border. The e-border is already connected with our technology building, which will be commissioned by Mr. President anytime, latest by February this year. In the e-border system, which has been approved by FEC, we can be able to see what is happening along the planks of the borders, real time online. We can approach Air Force if it is a need of air approach. We can approach the Army. We can approach our forward operational bases to control. So there is already in place. We have already a pilot case where we can see one of the borders. I don't want to tell you one of the borders. We can see one of the borders real time online from service headquarters, and we can respond to it. And we hope in 2021, we should be able to deploy the 84 locations. Even if we are not able to put all the 84, we can be able to start by at least 20 or 30 for 2021. There will be 84 locations, mini, midi, and maxi border, where we can see real thing in place happening. Drone is an added advantage. Government is looking at it, but we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't want agencies, each agency buying drone, each agency buying vehicle. It doesn't make sense. It is the same government money available to law enforcement. We must not replicate it, but we need the leadership. We want the government to appreciate that we have a border management strategy. Our law accepts us to take care of border. Let government continue to invest, especially in security equipment that will be able to help other law enforcement so that we can escalate. We don't need the military to be everywhere. If we are able to take care of soft locations before Northeast is liberated, 100%, we can be able to alert other law enforcement to come to aid if it is beyond us. So that's the system we are running. That's why we have the border management strategy 2019 to 2023, so that we can take care of the land borders, alert the agencies at where need be, and equipments are already in place. Some of them are already in place working.
Okay, let's just continue to discuss the borders as a means of facilitating trade. I know you say you're focused on people, but when the traders, like in the documentary we watched, complain of being serially charged by customs officers, is there a number they can complain, like my previous question, is there somewhere they can complain to regarding this exploitation?
See, you said customs. I don't like to comment on that custom, but unfortunately, unlike airport, if you look at the Nigerian Airport Authority Fund, we all work under fund at the airports, immigration, custom, NDLA. We don't have that kind of administration on the land borders, which is sad, which means every agency is operating on its own, which is not good. So I look forward to opportunity for us to be given that leadership, either to say, look, since it is movement of persons, take care of these land borders.
Comptroller General,
single
Nigerian Immigration Services, Mohammad Babandede, we thank you for being on the program. That's what time we have for you. Thank you for being on Newsday. We'll be back in a bit. All right, you're still watching Newsday. We still have Nigerian Immigration Service Comptroller General Mohammad Babandede. He's still here with us. Glad to know that you're still here, Mohammad. Now, let's talk some more about the issue of the border closure. In some quarters, the border closure didn't encourage trade. There came food inflation. The president said importation of arms, were coming from there. And sometimes what you have as Boko Haram, bandits, were mostly people who are not Nigerians. So for you, what were the gains of the border closure? And now it is open. Has that problem been solved, or how do you intend to go about it to make sure that it's reduced to the barest minimum or even totally cleared?
Yes, as far as immigration is concerned, during the border closure, Mr. President has directed us to make all effort possible to curtail abuse of persons who are not citizens of Nigeria, who might come and enter this country and commit a crime. What do we do during the border closure? First, we enhance border clearance system. During the border closure, as you are aware, we have enhanced airport clearance system. We knew that when the land borders were closed, the pressure will be on the airports. Today, I'm glad to state that all the 4 international airports we have are today connected with Interpol I-247. They are connected with the MIDAS. When I say MIDAS, it's Information Data Analysis System, which in the previous time, before this period, we used only to scan passport of people, but today we can take their pictures, we take their biometric, we also take their biographic data, which means any time this person returns to our locations, we have the biometric data, we will know that person. So we have enhanced airport security, and we have started deploying that type of security in the land borders. That's why we started with the 4. That is one. The second effort is that however much we work, it is difficult to cover the land borders 100%. It means people will enter our territory through other routes that are not recognized. That's why Mr. President launched the e-migrant registration, which is ongoing. Any citizen who have entered and stayed our country more than 90 days must take a biometric registration. So we have a lot of biometric data of non-Nigerians who are in our territory, which will enhance security. So it's not only that the borders have just been closed as nothing has been done. We have enhanced the borders that has been open, and we have also enhanced after entry control, which means by enforcing on e-registration. In 2021, I have shown my commitment and have said it to my officers that in 2021, what we want to invest in is to ensure that all persons who entered our territory comply with the condition of entry. If you enter this country, you said you spend 5 days, you stay 6 days, we'll knock at your door, you will leave the country. If you enter this country to do business discussion, and if we find you working, we'll remove you. If you enter this country to be an engineer in a company, we find you trading, we'll remove you. So this will reduce abuse, will also handle security issue, will support national security. That's why we introduced the new enhanced visa. which Mr. President launched. So I can tell you that during the closure, we didn't sleep. What we have done is to enhance what we can do when the borders are open. And now they are open, and I think we are ready for that. Okay,
that's encouraging again to say that at least you've made efforts towards monitoring the situation, especially the data situation as well, analysis. You spoke before we took a break on collaboration, and so I want to hear a bit more, because earlier on at the very start you spoke of ECOWAS and the fact that we're one citizenship even though we have different nations. What are you going to be doing towards collaboration to ensure that these your good plans are spread across the border?
You see, I always tell people where we learn this system. The ECOWAS system we learn it from the Schengen system, the EU system, where they have common border, where they have common intelligence. That's why when you apply for a Schengen visa, that is when you are not even a member of the EU, you are a member of the third country nationals. The information data is shared with all the Schengen countries before you are given the Schengen visa. So what we are trying to do is to improve that relationship. In 2017, I personally, as a Comptroller General, hosted the head of immigration of all the sub-region in Abuja, where we did a meeting and discussed the need for collaboration. What is the essence if we cannot collaborate with my colleague in Benin Republic or in Niger? As far as Nigeria is concerned, the land border of Nigeria in the north is in Niger. Because you can enter Niger with only a travel document which says you are a member of ECOWAS. From there, you can leave to Libya, because that's why we have a lot of problems. But thanks because of that kind of meetings we had with the head of immigration, we have received a lot of people who have been returned. Some people avoided immigration control and they went to Niger and they have been brought. We have prosecuted over 36 cases just last year because of this collaboration. So there is need to have common collaboration between us and our neighbors so that we can be able to work as a team. So that we can help each other. We are doing that. We are establishing a regional academy in Tuga, where we can train officers in the whole sub-region so that they can appreciate working to each other. When you are trained together, you'll be able to collaborate better so that we can work with one another. I think this academy will help a great deal. So I tell you, this is very important that we should work together, not only with the region, even officers ourselves, Nigerian agencies working in the same agency. I gave you an example of the land borders. It's a big challenge. The land borders have no clear leadership, unlike the airports. The airports has, for example, if there are issues, we can talk to Federal Airport Authority, FAN. They can see what custom is doing, what immigration is doing. We're working under leadership. The land borders don't have that clear direction, and I think government will do something about it. The other challenge is the buffer zone. We cannot collaborate when the land borders have no demarcations. If you see, how do you patrol places like between you and Cameroon, along Gambalungala, when the towns are matched together? We need to create this buffer zone so that we can patrol and collaborate and prevent people from crossing borders. I think this is a continuous process which we need to invest as a government, as a region.
Yeah, so many issues to raise. Let me drop these two questions for you, CG. You talked about e-migrant registration. One has to say 90 days. I am wondering how you systematically, consciously track these people when they have entered, because you also talked about all the different routes. Then secondly, an organization is as weak as its weakest link. I am wondering the question of motivation of your staff. It's good to hear you talk like this, marshal out your goals, your raison d'etre, you know. But what of going down the cadre? Are you building this mindset in them? Question of training, question of payment. How do you motivate them to make sure, if not at par with you and your thinking, but to a very reasonable level that will help, you know, with what you're marshalling out in terms of your programs?
Let me start about building capacity. You see, I'm a believer, they know me all, that machines don't solve the problems. If you buy equipment, if you have computers, if you have patrol vehicles, they can't patrol by themselves. They can't check anything by themselves. You need the human capacity. In short, it's better you build on human capacity than to buy equipment. I have a theory which I keep saying to my officers. Expensive equipment plus inefficient system is equal to expensive, inefficient system. because the system will not work if you don't build capacity. I'm glad to say that as the head of this agency, first before the motivation, we have built capacity. When I came on board, I have established a new curriculum. Immigration started since 1958, but we had no training curriculum. We're able to develop now a training curriculum, a teacher's guide for our training institutions so that we can hit what we want to do in training properly. We have built capacity of officers in terms of leadership. I can say I have multiplied myself several times. So there are many leaders. Almost all controllers to the rank of the DCG have trained leadership training so that they can be prepared in terms of emotional intelligence and social intelligence to take up leadership. But what about the motivation? I know what you said. However much we speak good, if you don't build capacity and motivate your officers, you don't get result. The greatest motivation we have done today is promotion for officers. When we came on board, officers had been stagnated for 7 years on the same rank. Today, we have removed that stagnation. During the time I have been on ground for 4.5 years, thanks to the ministers I have on ground on the board, most officers have received 2 promotions. So there is no stagnation. When you are promoted, you're happy. We have built transit camps at the land borders. The greatest pain, when I went around, you see even the houses for officers at our neighbors in Niger used to be better than our own for our officers. But today we have built many transit camps for our officers at the borders. We have built command buildings to make them happy, to be motivated. They are working in a very good condition. In the next few minutes, we are going to roll out a new command in Ibadan. So when you continue to build the structure, when you continue to motivate the officers, I think you can get the better result required. But also leadership by example. The land borders, the air borders are not places to make money. When you don't collect, I need to give the joke. I say, when you don't collect returns, because that's the biggest problem. If you collect money from your juniors to give you money to survive, then you have problem. I have told my officers, don't collect money from anybody. Don't collect from your juniors as a service. Don't do it because you don't need money from you to survive. Okay. It's very important because corruption is only... Yeah. Go ahead. You wanted to say something?
I was just thanking you for that point, leadership by example. And just to wish you a happy new year in advance. We really appreciate your giving us this time, Mohammad Babandede, Comptroller General, Nigeria Immigration Service.